What's up, F3 Nation? It's your boy Scratch and Win, Executive Director here, bringing you an update about the Accelerate campaign running October 1st through the 31st. Accelerate provides an opportunity for the packs to make a gift to F3 so we can continue to give it away. This year, we're making some new investments, like Region in a Box, a national attraction campaign, and Lead Weekends. All of these are designed to plant more shovel flags and unlock more men. For more information and to make your gift, visit f3nation.com or text the word F3 Accelerate to 53555. Thanks for your generosity, and we'll see you in the glory.
Welcome to the High Impact Man podcast. High impact men from across the nation sharing their stories of inspiration, encouragement, and hope.
Gosh, seek transformational relationships.
Now, what you're hearing from the culture is not right. Pick up the six, you know what I mean? But you never know who your six sometimes is.
Stop being less.
To help others become the virtuous leaders they're called to be and that our nation desperately needs.
Boom, blast off. We're off and running with another episode of the High Impact Man podcast. This is Nevin Gorky. I'm known as DFib to the men in F3 world, joined by Troy Klinger, known as Dial Up to the men in the F3 world. And we are joined by Derek Emery. His name is Carmen San Diego to those guys in F3 out in Ohio. And Carmen San Diego, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So Dial Up, we got, it's amazing to me. I say this a lot. I know I say this a lot. But if anybody who's just listening to us for the first time, you really need to tune in every week and listen to these men, the stories that they have, the incredible things they're doing. I mean, last week's podcast is fresh in our minds because we recorded it the same day we're recording this, but it will have been last week's podcast when this airs.
That's the reason why we have the same clothes on.
I actually took my little
oh, you did have
jacket
something
off.
different on. You're right.
Yeah, I look different.
the same
yeah.
now. It's all good.
Way to give it away.
Yeah.
But anyway, last week's podcast was clickbait. After you listen to this one, definitely listen to this one, but go back and listen to Clickbait's podcast. I mean, the stuff that the men across the country are doing, F3 men, high impact men, it's just incredible the kind of stuff they're doing and the kind of men they are.
Yeah, so I went down after we finished that last episode. We had 15 or 20 minutes between that one and starting this one. My wife had made some homemade chicken corn soup, so I went down to get some chicken corn soup, and I was telling her about the last podcast, and you know what she asked me? When are we going? And so so I'm gonna have to be working on that. So
all right,
looks like
all right. Let me know. Maybe I'll go with you.
Looks like we might be rounding up a crew to go to Asheville.
Yeah, my wife might want to join us, but our work schedule is difficult to get away.
Yeah, but let's chat. Let's see what we can put together. Something.
Okay.
Even if he told us, even if it's just for a day or two.
I know.
Let's see what we can work out.
It's a long trip down there. Unless we fly, it's not worth it. We got to make a couple days out of it at least.
Yeah. Anyway, that's last week. That's last week's podcast.
That's last week. This is this
Carmen
week.
San Diego.
We got Carmen San Diego.
Yes, and we will let you know. It's a couple things I got going through my mind here, knowing about this guy and being from Ohio. First, though, I'm going to tell you that we will let you know if any axe murderer comes walking through the adjoining room door that's over your right shoulder. Right? Is that an adjoining room? Yeah. So we'll give you a heads up just in case anybody comes sneaking into your room. And number two, you're from Ohio. All right. So we're recording this the week after Ohio State lost to the Ducks. Are you an Ohio State fan? Sorry to go there if you are.
Yeah, I'm neutral. I was born and raised in Kansas City, so I'm actually a Jayhawk.
All right.
So I have friends on both sides. So whoever has the best meat on the grill, I go over there, and I'm a fan for a day or so.
What about the Mud Hens?
Yes, big fan.
All right, there you go.
Yeah,
he lives near Toledo, outside Toledo. Toledo Mud Hens, baby.
Yeah.
You know how I learned that Toledo's school's nickname was the Mud Hens? From the TV show MASH. Klinger on MASH was from Toledo. They always talk about the Mud Hens, right?
That and Tony Pacos.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Yep, that's right. All right, so this is the part of the show where Dial Up and I play Guess How Our Guest Got His F3 Name. I'll go first this time, Dial Up, since you've been going first a lot.
All right.
I think I got this one. You know, he clearly travels a lot for his work and stuff, so he's all over the place. So where in the world is Carmen San Diego? We don't know where he's going to be next, so that's how he got his name.
As he comes to us from a hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go to. So I'm just going to steal yours that, he travels a lot, and so he's all about the world. So where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Because you're never going to know from week to week, right? So, did we nail it?
It was almost 100%. So I I got this the talk about the Carmen San Diego was when the Kilimanjaro topic came up a little bit right off the bat, and then the travel, and then back and forth, different names, and yeah, Carmen San Diego was came about. So
there it is.
that was good.
Carmen San Diego was a girl.
Yeah, I know. I know.
All right.
So, get a little flack
All
for that. But no, it's the name. At first, I'm like, what, Carmen San Diego? But it kind of fit me well. It, like you said, I travel. When I travel, I try to go to as many beatdowns as I can to understand just a little bit of everything. F3 is just nationwide, and you go anywhere and meet these great guys that push each other. So now every time I travel, look up that locator and join a beatdown. So
yeah, you must get to experience a lot of different places.
Yep.
All right, very cool. So I thought maybe there was some kind of theme going on where your AO is, because you mentioned in your bio that there's a F3 guy there named Waldo.
Yeah.
So where's Waldo, right? And
yeah, as we bring
all lost.
Well, as we bring good guys together, especially with F3, he hounded on me for a while, and it took a little bit of time, but he finally got me out, which was pivotal because I was planning this trip with my big brother, my mentor. He turned 50, so that was one of his things. Is I want to be 50 years old and when I hit the mountain. And my brother and I was very competitive, but so Waldo brought me in the right time of my life too. There was also some struggles a little bit with habits, habit forming, not the greatest habit forming. So I credit Waldo and Carmen San Diego, go well together. So he's amazing, great guy.
Yeah. So if you haven't figured it out by now, Carmen San Diego's on here because he did climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and he came to our attention because our very own Spielberg was downrange and posted with these guys, went to cafeteria with Carm, and he met him and heard about his story. He said, hey, we have this guy on. So lo and behold, here we are interviewing Carmen San Diego, and he's going to tell us about his trip up the African mountain. But and we're gonna have a video to show you, but not yet. Dial up. I haven't given the segue yet.
Hopefully Spielberg can connect it in.
Hopefully we can do this. We have a video to show this. This is breaking new ground on the High Impact Man podcast. But first of all, you kind of mentioned how you got involved. How long ago was it that you got involved with F3?
Last year, 2023.
Okay.
Because as you guys know, Ohio's flat, and Kilimanjaro you got to climb.
Yeah.
Right. So the odds were against me. Trying to figure out the right way. So I was kind of I wasn't scared, but I was nervous because when you read upon many things about Kilimanjaro, training is key, right? But also the mental aspect of it. The mental toughness when you get up there and you can't stop. You got to keep on going. You're way up there. So this really tuned me in the right mindset of getting up, doing all types of weather, because December 19th in Toledo, somewhere in probably Pennsylvania, it's cold. There's wind, there's different things, and that's what you do when you go up to the mountain. But to start, like I said earlier, the whole trip was my brother wanted to climb, do something 50. I turned 40, so both of us are having that time of our lives, and we reflect, we look at each other, we look who we're with, we look who we are, being a good father and everything. And there's a lot of retrospect that we come in there. So I thought he was joking, but then on the next day he's like, here's the flight. It's like, all right, I'll jump in. But I didn't know what I was getting into, the training and everything like that. So F3, it got me focused, and the team aspect too, because when you climb the mountain, it's with a group, right? So that whole brotherhood, the fellowship part of F3 got me to mentally and physically, got me on the plane, got me ready, got me confident. And I credit that so much to the guys at the Black Swamp. They're amazing. They're close brothers that when I got up to the top, that's one of the people that got me up there. So so training was interesting, and was able to really get some good core workouts, the full body. But it was kind of tough getting on the plane, because you hear stories of people dying, people that are fit are very, very fit and they still can't make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know how your body's going to adjust to 60% less oxygen, 50% less oxygen. Right? And there was a guy that died right before we climbed. So, knowing that and still going through it, with the support from, the brothers at F3. But, if you saw where Kilimanjaro's at, it's just south of the equator. So it's about 19,000 feet. You go through 5 different zones. You go through a cultivated zone, then you go through a rainforest. So you had to watch out for green mambas, black mambas. You're seeing monkeys everywhere. And then you get higher and higher in the 5 different climate zones, and it's like the moon. Things can't survive up there. Like this, it's amazing. And we joined this crew. It was 14 of us. We only knew my brother and I, and then the rest were from the globe. So we were 3 Russians. We were 3 people from Europe. We were with a guy from Germany, and then the rest were kind of scattered around the U.S. So we didn't really, language barriers, cultural barriers, right? Age gaps. I was the 3rd oldest, which I thought 40, that's not that old, right? But a lot of people were much younger.
Was your brother the oldest?
And no, he wasn't the oldest. He was I think he was the 2nd oldest. And he had a different, as being brothers, he had a different body shape. He was more smaller. He was kind of more of a soccer player. Me, I had to go from almost football lineman shape, kind of not and turn into a sprinter or a running back,
Yeah.
So I had my difficulties, but yeah, it was quite the experience, and we had about 36 people that helped us get up the mountain. So, which is crazy. We had some porters that helped us with some of our luggage, but a lot of it was just like a rucksack. When you're going into a beatdown, you carry 25, 30 pounds, a little more. You have your water. You have anything that you need to wear with climate, because it could snow, it could rain, it could do everything. So being prepared. But it took 4.5 days to get up, and the day and a half to get down.
All right, let me stop you there for a second. I want to hear more about that, and I got more questions about that because this is fascinating to me. I thought that's something that I might be able to do, but I don't know if I'll ever do it. But when you sent me your bio, you said that you were kind of involved with sports when you're young. Have you always been athletic?
Yes, until about 35, and then I had kids, and then that whole mindset, the body change, and especially eating their leftovers too when they don't eat their food, and
right,
just the whole transformation, right? So I played rugby, I played football, I played basketball, I did a lot of things, and there was a lot of red flags that came up with weights. You got blood pressure, you got all these things that these little habits that you do just compound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was definitely out of the sports mode and into dad bod, what they call that sometimes. Dad bod. Yeah. But yeah, I was. So F3 was another part of it. I wasn't as good enough a shape without them, and they're kind of helping me with my transformation out, which I can maybe talk about after I climb down if there's some time. But the transformation that F3 has gotten me to a lifestyle change, physically and mentally, it's been great.
Yeah. So you started F3 in December last year. When did you climb Kilimanjaro? March. Okay. So
yes.
January, February, March. So 3 months. You had about 3 months worth of F3 before you climbed the mountain. And how was the first beatdown that you showed up to? Did you struggle?
Yes.
Did you spill Merlot?
No, I did not. I did not. I couldn't complete half the workouts. The next day, I couldn't move. I felt like my arms and my legs were in concrete. You would say. It was a wake up call too. That I shouldn't be this sore, and as being competitive as I was, like in sports and everything like that. Seeing all the other team members do the work, they were also there helping me, which was great, because nothing's worse than doing a workout and you're that guy that that's maybe not as fast, maybe it's behind the workout. These guys, the sixth, like they came back, and so that's one of the reasons I started coming back more, because I wasn't alone, and I saw these guys that, man, I want to be fit like that guy. I want to that guy, he's leading this pack of guys,
Right.
So then the more I started to come, the more mentors I kind of saw. So I'm like, oh wait, this is cool. So yeah, so it was a struggle, but yeah, it kind of set me on the right path, I would say.
Good. And in those 3 months, how much weight did you lose?
Oh, about 15 pounds, something like that.
That's
Because
pretty good.
that
Yeah,
last
3
month,
months. Wow.
the last month they wanted me to store some of that fat back because you needed that.
Oh,
In a way to climb the mountain. So a lot of breathing techniques, exercises, and stuff like that as well. But the rucking was huge. I think with the rucking, as well as of course either Merkins and burpees and all those. But having that core, and because you can hike 8 hours a day, you could hike. One time I think we hiked maybe 13 hours, 14 hours, and
yeah.
putting your body through that, the stress and everything like that. So, yeah. So that's why I continue with F3, is to get me there.
So what's the process? You say, okay, I want to hike Mount Kilimanjaro. What's the process? Is there a company that helps you with this, or like, how does that work?
Yeah. So there's a company that we went through, and you have to go get your check from your doctor. Say, hey, can this person do it? At first, because we signed up about a year, and the doctor's like, are you sure you want to do this? Because I wasn't in shape. He, and I said, okay, I'll work out. And I connected with him later on. He's like, okay, because actually I had to present, like, this is why, this is the risk level and everything. So you have to get the okay from the doctor. The next thing is, you got to get the background check with all the different types of vaccines, that you're going through, because you're going to places of the world that, luckily Tanzania, we didn't have to get any yellow fever vaccines, but every place around it does, So the process, like I said, is the vaccines, and then they try to coach you the best you can with preparation. They give you some ideas on some trainings, but a lot of it they just point to YouTube, the blogs, some of the climbs. We chose a middle of the road climb, which they call the Coca-Cola climb, Monchero, which it's not the toughest, but it's not the easiest. It's
they have
it's a
different
60
ways to get it to the top. I see.
Oh yeah, multiple different ways.
Oh,
And they said
okay.
that the longer you take, the more success rate you have. If you do it 5 days, 4 days, that's when you get risks of failing. And there's many ways you could fail. Like there was an American group that came out the week before. The snowstorm was so bad they couldn't even finish it.
Yeah.
So mentally you had to tell yourself, you might fly 28 hours to get over there and do all this money and training. You might not make it, which is tough for a lot of people. That people die sometimes trying to go over that line, I guess. But then they do a good job. They have these 36 people, like I said, help you a lot. They cook the food, which is interesting. It's the higher altitude you get, the stomach only can take certain types of foods and everything like that. They had oxygen tanks, just in case. They had a helicopter. They would fly up, and so you had to get all this insurance, high elevation insurance, which was kind of expensive. But other than that, they had everything. They had everything ready. It was
can a helicopter make it to the top of Kilimanjaro?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about the top. Maybe the base camp. Maybe closer to the base camp, because
I don't know much about helicopters, but I know you have to have a certain amount of air density, and too much altitude they can't get there.
Yeah. It's over. Yeah. So I believe it's a little bit lower on the base. So and it's interesting because you have this group, right, but then you walk with all these other people from different countries. So we had like Team India, we had Team Japan, we had Team and we were the fastest one of the fastest ones, which was interesting. But yeah, so we got there. Like I said, it was tough to communicate. We all had the same goal, right? To get to the top, and we got closer together every time we went up.
Yeah, and so you said it took 5 days.
4.5 days up and a day and
Four
a
and a
half
half days.
down.
So did you did you go to like a base camp and stay there for like more than one day, or were you always moving every day a little higher, a little higher, a little higher?
We had one day of acclimatization, so
Okay.
we would go up and come back down, and that was in the middle of the trip. So it could have been from like 10,000 to 12,000.
Okay.
And come back down. Once is they try to hurry. So when you get to that 15,000, which is the base camp,
Yeah.
you climb up all the way at night, which is absolutely beautiful. You get up top, and it's like 20 minutes. Just get up there, get down, because the oxygen level is so low. And people like my brother and some of these other guys that were so fit. We had a semi-pro soccer player. He had to get oxygen.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to. My water froze, and I had to eat the snow on top of Kilimanjaro to have some liquid. Yeah, it's amazing. You see all different kinds of people start dropping. 17,000 feet, 18,000 feet. It's amazing. It's amazing how much power that mountain has. And
So you started in dark. Are you up there then during the daylight?
so we watched the sunrise
Okay.
at the top, not the very top, but at the top of the mountain. You can see it's over Kenya. Kenya's right there. So it was very surreal. The nights, it was the darkest dark you've ever seen. The stars were the biggest you would ever see in your life. And it's just it's a weird feeling. So the hike was tough. The weight, they say the 90% of coming back down, because you never plan for the going back down. You just like, all right, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. Oh no, we got to go back down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's where I got injured a little bit on the way down.
Just as hard. Yeah.
Yeah, because you never think about that. You never
Right.
think about that.
And you're tired.
Yeah, you have
that
no
point.
oxygen, like a little oxygen kind of going to your legs are kind of, so the mental part of that trip was 15,000 up and down, because you see people drop either, they don't go any farther. They all the different reactions of the body would happen when, you're in a high altitude like that. And knowing that, you're all the way up here, it's going to take you a while to get back down. What are you going to do? You just got to keep on going. And that's kind of what I would like to bring more to F3 as well, as much as IQ and everything is just that mental toughness, but being smart about it, right? You never want to, you got to know your body limits, but I pushed my body so much more than I ever thought I could do.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when I accomplished this, even though, I retired, I said, okay, I'm done. I'm retired from climbing mountains. It's like the only mountain really I climb, but I might do it with my kids if they do it, if they talk me into it. But it gives you that feeling of what's next.
Yeah.
Right?
Is there any part of the climb that is very technically challenging?
The one at night, because it was the last day. We're at summit, 15,000 feet, and we had to climb 8 hours straight up. So you're climbing pretty vertical, you do what do you call that? Switchbacks
Yeah.
all the way up, and you see these little lights above you, and those are the people ahead of you, but you see nothing, and all you see is in front of you for 8 hours climbing kind of these rocks. It's not like Cliffhanger, it's not like Everest, but there's trails, but you have to be very careful. We didn't know how inclined it was until we came back down. We're like, wow,
Right.
if we would have saw this, it would have made the stomach kind of, but that was the toughest, because it just kept on going and going and going for 8 hours. And so I would say that would be the toughest.
Sorry. So when is the climbing season there? You said it's real close to the equator. So like when is the climbing season for Kilimanjaro?
So probably they say like October to the end of March because you don't want to do it during the rainy season because the rainy season is April to I believe in June or so. So yeah, there's specific times, and we were lucky.
And is there snowpack at that time?
There was a little bit of snow up there. We didn't have to use our spikes, but the day before and the day after, it snowed quite a bit in the mountains.
Yeah.
So we were lucky. If we were one of those days, we might not have made it.
Yeah.
And when we finished, we met some guys that went the other way, the other side of the mountain. They got hail. It was treacherous. Like we were lucky, I guess, in that realm to make the top. So it's a lot of preparation. It's a lot of mental toughness, but it's also a little bit of luck.
Wow. Did you do a burpee when you got to the top?
No, it's like when I would bend over to tie my shoe and I'd be out of breath. Yeah. So just think, like this little coffee straw, trying to breathe in as much oxygen as you can. Yeah. It was interesting. It was very interesting. But
well, if you do a burpee at the top, wouldn't you?
I would try.
It's interesting what people do when you get to the top. I heard stories. It's crazy things.
Yeah.
So
I try and film myself doing burpees in weird locations. But
I'd probably pee.
So
Deneen and I visited the Kinzua Bridge. Do you know where that is, DFib? That's a Pennsylvania landmark. It's the highest railroad bridge in the country, but it was knocked over by the tornado a couple years. It's up like in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. We stopped there on Saturday, and it was too crowded. Deneen's like, I should do a burpee, and she's like, it's too crowded, so I didn't do a burpee. There was like a glass viewing platform there.
Oh, come on!
So yeah. She didn't want to be embarrassed, I guess.
Just think,
anyway,
95 degrees at the bottom and negative 13 degrees at the top.
Dang.
Wow. Oh, you're bundled up when you get up there, then.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how much weight were you carrying on your back?
When you got towards probably the top, maybe like 25 pounds.
25.
Something like that. So because you had the bladder and you had to have 4 liters a day, at least, of water, and they forced you to eat, which that was probably one of the toughest things. Yep, you pee a lot. So, but like you said, it's crazy how many calories you can definitely lose. But yeah, 4.5 days up and a day and a half down. It was we didn't shower, so it's you're with these guys, smelling them, not just being with, also smelling them.
Yeah.
And but it was it was.
Were any ladies with you?
Yes, there were. We had some girls from the Stanford that was alumni Stanford rowing team, so they were in shape.
Oh my goodness, yeah, they got some of the highest VO2s probably.
They did burpees at the top.
No, they did great. They did great. There was a guy in Germany who didn't make it. He just made it to the base camp, and the rest made it, but they needed some help. So
yeah.
So
I don't know if I'd make it, dial up. I'd got altitude sickness at the top of Pikes Peak. That's only 14,000 feet. Of course, I just drove up to the top. I didn't acclimate.
Sick, or did you get sick, or just you felt short of breath?
I felt like short of breath, and I felt like I was going to die.
Okay.
Like I was going to pass out.
Yeah, Pikes Peak was the first thing I was ever on that I could physically feel the difference from the altitude.
We drove to the top, and I got out to take a picture, and I'm like, oh my Lord! After about 5 minutes out of the car, I had to make it back to the car.
Ready to go back down.
Get off the mountain, yeah.
So the guys that don't make it up Kilimanjaro, you mentioned the one guy from Germany stayed at base. So did he just stay at base camp while you guys did the climb then? Okay.
Now, when you got done, you got down to the bottom. Did you go hang out in Tanzania for a while?
Well, first thing I did, I took 2 showers. So I hopped in, took a shower, and I was like, wait a minute, I got to take another shower. Because it was amazing. And just all you can think about, you're going down, you're like, okay, pizza, hamburger, like something, because we were stuck on porridge and these hot dogs and toast.
If you're eating porridge and hot dogs and you're climbing for 4.5 days, where do you poop?
So they have some outside, on the off. You have bags. There's others huts. So if you ever seen a hut that has a hole in the floor, you got to put your feet and you have to squat in that hole.
Oh boy.
It's me not being flexible. It was pretty tough.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like I said, it's a different. The whole culture of Tanzania it's a poor country. It's mineral rich. The people are so thankful for what they have. We brought school supplies to the local school kids when we went there. Very, very nice. That whole area that's their livelihood is Kilimanjaro. So these guys have climbed it 200 times in barely any shoes. Like it's just, and you look at us, we're like, oh gosh, I got to have all these this coats and this. They barely have anything. It's amazing, how their bodies adapt and everything like that. But we were able to go to some towns around, but it's a wide you come back and you're very thankful for what you have. I wasn't able to do a safari after. That's the big thing. A lot of the guys did a safari, which you guys see Lion King, Serengeti, the big rock, right? They talk Swahili, so Kuna Matata. You guys know that one. So it's surreal. It's a good trip. Wife said she would kill me if I did the safari without her. So we gotta maybe come back and go see it. But yeah, it takes a long time to get there, and on the way back, being all sore and everything. That's like, was it 32 hours to get back? It was interesting. So a lot of Tylenol.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. How much did the whole thing cost you?
See, we got help because we rented half of the equipment. If we bought all our own equipment and went over there, it would have cost a lot of money. The flights, with the trip, and then everything preparation is probably around like $7,000.
Yeah.
7-8 grand. But then again, I chose to get comfort, because my legs, you could be economy and make it for cheaper, right? But I definitely recommend having just a little bit more leg room. That's for sure.
Yeah. Cramp up, baby.
But
you could do it, D-Fib. That's 2 days salary. You're fine.
Yeah.
Dial up. That's 3 cruises, brother.
3 cruises.
Yeah, I can't justify that with the M.
Versus like 40,000 just for base camp or something like that. So
I know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, just for base camp, right? To summit Everest, right, is I think upwards of $100,000 guys are paying anymore. But that's a whole different story of how commercialized. You probably, I would imagine, climbing Kilimanjaro, you probably are plugged into different social media or different blogs about climbing other heights, the other great climbs on other continents, right? Because now you're probably like, maybe I should do Everest too, right? Do you see? You hear a lot of bad things and negative things about the commercialization of climbing Mount Everest. Do you see that same kind of stuff on Kilimanjaro? Do you see the environment there being impacted and the waste and stuff being left behind, or are they managing it better there environmentally? Okay. Yeah.
So
and it is lower elevation, so it's a little easier, air quotes, right? It's a little easier getting stuff up and down there compared to Everest, but yeah, still, well, it's good to hear though that they're taking better care of the mountain.
Yeah. Like I was saying, when you get done, what's next? That mentality. Hopefully, we get to go to South America and climb Machu Picchu and do the other ones. But yes, you want to look at the best way to keep the trail going. To make sure you're cleaning up after yourself. Because like I said, like those Everest, it looks like there's a lot of trash. There's dead people, just on the way up there. Like but yeah, so keeping that place, for future generations to walk is definitely.
So you're there's actually bodies on Kilimanjaro that you're seeing as you go?
No. Everest.
Everest. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, man, I can't believe they're not recovering the bodies on Kilimanjaro.
No. There was some plaques. There was a plaque that there was a guy from Dayton, Ohio, that died. They had a little plaque up there. So
What's the highest climb in the United States? I can't. I'm drawing a blank on it for some reason.
Is it
Isn't that
Denali?
mountain out in
Is it
Seattle?
Is it It's not Rainier, is it? No, Rainier's not. There's
I
the
think
others
it's
that are higher
Denali.
than.
I think it's
I was gonna
Denali.
say, is it Denali or as we the mountain formerly known as McKinley,
Yeah.
right?
But that's a different animal too, because so Kilimanjaro is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, meaning that there's not ridges. It's
Yeah.
just it's a long hike, right? Denali, you're bringing your own stuff, your snow. It's a lot more technical.
Yeah.
Definitely tougher. So
All right, well, I'm going to stay down here on the ground. You guys go climb those mountains.
yeah. So
I'll drive to the top of Pikes Peak and drive right back down. All right. Well, what'd you learn through this whole process? What'd you bring back?
I brought back perspective, what means a lot in my life. I had at the top, I had that time to really reflect. You see those things, you see, the how beautiful nature is, and sometimes how small things are. Like as we go through life sometimes, and we get stressed, we're hard on ourselves, or we worry about the smallest things in life, right? And that it made you kind of reflect that there's more to life than work and stress and what's on social media, and everything, the hate or politics. And it really grounded me. And this is how this F3, this I'm still in that transformation. So the Kilimanjaro helped, but also F3 helped me as well, because I came back down that mountain and I started kind of going to the bad habits, and F3 got me to the right set. But yeah, it makes you thankful. It makes you look at challenges differently, knowing that
Mm-hmm.
at first glance, I can't do that. No, you can't. Just take just give it a shot. Give it there's risk wherever you go, right? And I never thought I could climb a mountain that high, and look where we are, here,
Yeah.
today. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, congratulations, man. That's an awesome achievement.
Thank you.
I know that there's quite a few people that do it, but you're probably less than 1% of the population of the world have done it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And life isn't all about the mountaintop experience, right? We have the valleys too. So I'm trying to make something philosophical out of this. I'm not succeeding, but
Keep going. Keep going.
yeah. We're not always living on the mountaintop.
But those
And we
mountaintop
got-
experiences carry you through the valleys.
Yeah, that's right.
How's that sound?
Progress through pain, or is it progress through pain? Sorry, that's a T-shirt I had Dial-Up made fun of before. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but you got to learn, right? You got to learn perspective. That's great, man. Appreciate that. All right. Well, D-Up, you got any more questions for him?
I think I got everything in as usual. Whenever you ask me that question, at that point, I've usually got all my questions in.
Yeah.
You got the two
So-
biggies left.
Yeah, I got two more questions for you, Mr. San Diego. The first one is, if you were to pick somebody that you would say you look up to, inspirational, a hero, could be somebody from the distant past or somebody living now, who would that be? I thought you might say that.
Yeah, we're 10 years apart, so we didn't always. He didn't always take me down because he had to, wrestle around. He had to, go to college and everything, but we still stay connected. He was a good teacher and a good role model. So yeah, throughout the whole life. So I have to give him the props for that, because we're going to continue these challenges, and until we can't do them anymore, right? So
Right.
he's been my my mentor, I would say,
Yeah.
for life.
Yeah. Good
So
job,
do you-
Brian.
Do you know what's next? You meant
There's Rim to Rim in Colorado.
Huh?
That's a challenge, and then there's the Machu Picchu. We'll see. I have to. Since I took that big trip, my wife now has to do another trip, so kind of barter a little bit.
yeah.
So hopefully this next year, the next, we'll do a big trip together. At least do the Rim to Rim maybe next year. So
Are you gonna do rim to rim or rim to rim to rim?
there's a Rim to Rim to Rim to Rim.
Rim to rim
about-
to rim,
I'll-
right?
Oh, I don't.
You're talking Grand Canyon,
Yes, yeah.
right?
Rim to Rim. Yeah.
Some do rim to rim to rim, so like south rim to north rim back to south rim,
Oh wow.
which is crazy. A banjo that we had on a long time ago.
He's
know
a
did
rim-
that. Yeah, he's a rim to rim to rimmer. But just rim to rim, brother, is a heck of a challenge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let's try it out.
So,
So
yeah, find something, do it. Looking forward to. Yeah, stay in touch. You have to let us know when you do the next challenge.
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, last one. This is your chance to speak to the men of America. What's your message for the men of America?
Just don't go things alone. Don't go about things alone. If we talk about F3, there's always someone out there, and you might not know that they're struggling mentally or physically. When you get to our age, 35 to 50 to 55, you kind of start seeing, that loss of this fellowship. And I just want to tell people to, if to stick together. If there's anything on your mind or any difficulties, depend on a brother, depend on, your fellow F3 team. Create that shield, right? Because there's a lot of obstacles that we'll go through in life, right? And there's good men all around us to help us help us do this, because it's really tough to go alone, and have that mentor, having that person push you physically and mentally will definitely help out in the long run with mental health, with and then that affects the family life, that affects your health life and everything. So just continue to be involved in the fellowship aspect of F3, because I think it's really, really important. So
yeah. Amen, brother. All right. Well, gain perspective, challenge yourself, but don't do it alone.
Yeah.
All right. Great word, brother. Appreciate that. Another high
thanks
impact
for
man
sharing.
giving us a
Yeah.
good message. Congratulations again, and keep getting after it out in the gloom there, brother.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right. If you ever find yourself in Danville, PA, come post with us.
Definitely will. Definitely will.
All right, brother. All right. God bless you, man.
All right. Take care.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I would like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their story of becoming a high impact man. More information and resources can be found at highimpactman.com. If you like this podcast, please consider following us on our social media pages or email us at him@highimpactman.com. That is HIM@highimpactman.com. The High Impact Man podcast has a new episode every week, and you can find them on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast platforms. Have a great week, everyone.